There we go. So that's these two pieces on to help secure the Z-axis. So we now need to put these 4 corner pieces in, which are going to go in like this. And even with a Duet conversion, we are going to keep these limit switches. So these cables, you need to be careful you don't trap them. And if anybody has ever wondered what these are for, these are for when you put the cable in, putting in your extrusion like that, and it fits in snugly, and it's to keep the cable routed down the extrusion nice and neatly. That's what these are for. I'll come back to those at the end. So we'll put these 4 in, which is just like these, push down to the bottom like that, square it up, two bolts from the underside. I would guess as well there is some kind of method of securing this to here. I'll check that before we start assembling. Okay, so yeah, if you notice there's a slight cutout there, and on the end of these, I took these off by mistake on this one but left them on that one. These are what locate in that slot there to keep it all aligned. So I'll put these in, so it's effectively like that, and then that is going to go, get it right, in like that, and you can see it squares up. Right, so we'll put all 4 of these in. All that's left now is 2 bolts on the side and 2 bolts on the bottom, and then that's that piece in effectively. Yep, so we'll go and do that. Okay, with everything sort of loosely assembled, none of the bolts down the side here or here have been torqued up or tightened yet. They're just to the point where they bite, and that's it. So it gives you a bit of wobble in the frame so you can adjust things. It's time to put the top part on. Now, because everything's a little loose, especially these bits here like to just fall away a little bit, it does just help to have a little bit of tape just to stop these wobbling about while you're trying to square and drop the top piece on, especially if you're doing it on your own. So we'll drop the top on, and then we can start to put all the bolts in and start to think about tightening everything up. Okay, so that's the top on. Those are the motor XY drive cables, so there's a hint that the motors on the upper frame should be at the front so that you can route the cables up here and then put in the cable tidying pieces afterwards. So that went in. Trust me, I tried doing it without the tape, which is what led me to do it with the tape, and it's much easier. It just pretty much drops straight on. So it's 2 in the side there, same on the opposite side, screws in the top, and then I'm going to carefully tighten everything up, probably a bit like an old car mechanic might do. These 2 first, these 2 first, these 2 first, these 2 first, to try and keep it as square as possible. But they are pretty good, these machines, because this machine plate, the tolerances are pretty good on it, so you shouldn't end up with anything particularly out of square. But I'm going to do it in that order, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, so we're pretty much getting there now. It's looking much more solid. All the frames nice and solid. The only bit that isn't left still is, you see the Z-axis is a bit wobbly there, a bit wobbly there. And what we need to install is these four pieces here with the T-nuts, and basically these go on there to secure that bar and stop it moving. Pretty straightforward. Use these T pieces, put them in the groove, and as you start to tighten up the nut, it just pulls it tight in the aluminium groove. So these aren't too bad. I prefer using the ones that have like got a little sprung ball bearing in the back, stops them sliding up and down the channel when you don't want it to. But these will do for this because they're not going to be, there's not too many of them. So I'll stick these on, and then probably not far off being done. So the way to do these is take these wedge pieces, put the bolts through, put the nuts, partially start them on the other side, and then you can slide this one into there like that, and that one into there, into the upper rail. Look at it, that's getting in the right slot. So like I say, that one into there, push it up, and you'll get. Right, so let's fit one of these triangle pieces. So I'm going to take that off, don't need it now. And zoom in, so we get, put that one into there like that. That one into the upper, get it the right way around. There we go. And then as you tighten up the bolts into the T-pieces, they turn and orientate and grip inside the aluminium extrusion and stay where they are. So we'll just do that, and then we'll do the rest. Okay, so we've got these wedge pieces in, everything's all tightened up, and there's zero movement in all of that now, which is great. Same on the other side. So nearly there now. The last one, the last bits is to install these here, and obviously there's two of them, one for this side. Put the lead screws in, put the bed on, and it's pretty much done. Okay, so we've got both bed supports installed. Now we need to mount in the Z-axis lead screws. So actually I find it, the top tip for these is to take this little plug out at the top, shove these up a fair way, and shove the plug back in again. So I'm just going to do that. So you've got some distance between the bottom of the Z screw and the top, so you're aligning it and keeping it square over the largest distance. So put these lead screws in now. So we'll start these screws off, and then we'll get back to you. There we go. So actually it goes, to get it in like this, it's behind the belt. So we'll just spin that round. Now the pitch on these is pretty flat, the angle of the thread. So once they're in and squared away, they really do need some grease on them. They squeak like anything when you shift the bed up and down fast. Especially when it's home in, or when we put the Duet in and it starts to do its bed probe to get the bed topography. You know, it's up and down on a Z, and it's like you really do need some grease. So we've got that in there now. Now these couplers down here, what you need to do, these solid couplers. Yeah. So if you let this rod drop in, I don't know, I'm not sure on these. The split couplers are usually a little bit better. They let a little bit of misalignment be okay to kind of take up the tolerance of it, but either way, if you listen to the shaft and it hits it's hitting the motor shaft now, you want to lift it up just a fraction so it's not touching the top of the motor shaft that's secured in here, and then tighten up these grub screws. So that allows the coupler to flex a little bit, although I'm not sure this particular one will, and it just takes up the flex and slight misalignment, whereas if you have it touching the motor shaft, it can't take any, there can't be any kind of flex to take up any misalignment. It's just jammed against the motor shaft. So let's do that. Actually, I take it back. So with that bung installed there, it just gives you a nice bit of drop into here without it touching the motor shaft. You can see if I take this bung out, the whole platform wants to go quite a bit further. Instead of stopping there, it's going there. So I'm going to put the bung back in. Let's get it right. There it is. Let the platform come down. Let that drop into the coupler. And yeah, it's nowhere near touching the motor, so we can just tighten that up. Spin it 90 degrees because there's two of them. There we go. And just give these tight and then a quarter. They don't need to be absolutely super tight. Or maybe not even a quarter, maybe an eighth of a turn. So the beauty of doing this is it's going to keep the bed as near as damn it the same on either side. So drop that in there. Let's get that. Torque this one up. Ooh, blimey, that's quite. It's quite springy actually, I'm quite surprised. Right, let's get this. I'm going to actually keep that roughly square when I'm tightening up, because you can see when I'm tightening it, I'm kinking it over. I'm just going to pause this and correct the other one as well. Right, so we're pretty much there now, so the next thing to do is put the bed on. I guess that there's a thermistor held in there, I guess. So I'm going to put this sticky back stuff, keep some insulation. I mean, it should really be to the edges, but I don't know, maybe it's better than nothing. I'll stick it on. Okay, so we'll put this on here, put this as central as I can get, I guess. In fact, I'll do it and then come back. Okay, so that's the bed on with the 4 sprung corners and wheels put on. That light blue clear plastic stuff, that'll be peeled off in a minute. Before we do that, we've got the bed heater wires to connect up, which is pretty obvious, and that's got a B for bed on it, and then we've got, that's the extruder, and this is the Y-axis limit switch. So let's do those. So first of all, nice huge XT, or XT90s actually, I think. Oh, well, I don't know, but XT big ones. Let's connect them up. Pretty heavy duty connectors. Okay, and then get the thermistor in as well, into there. Okay, so that's the bed wiring done, and then this is the Y-axis limit switch. So that connects all the way up to the top of here, so we'll connect that. Okay, so there we go, so that's the limit switch in, and then what you can do is route this wire, probably push some of it back in there actually, and then route it nicely inside the channel of the extruding, like that. And then this is where these strips come in. So we'll start that wire up. Make sure it's not going to catch on anything, so I'll probably start it there. Clamp this plastic in there, and then you can run the wire down and keep it retained behind this plastic clip, like that. And push that. Like that. There we go. Oh. So then you've got your wire nicely contained behind the strip. We can now do the same with the X-axis drive wire. So we'll route this up the inside of here and up to the X motor. There's the X nicely installed and then hidden behind that plastic piece. Okay, so the machine's powered up now. I've only just done this. Just want to test really that everything's connected up right. It should be. This motherboard will be taken out and all replaced with the Duet Wi-Fi in a bit. But if we just go into, I guess, tools. Home. Now it's going to be interesting because it's going to struggle to home the Z-axis, but it should be able to home X. Well, see if it does. If it's going to home all of them, might do. It's probably not going to allow me to move any X and Y because nothing's homed. Yep. Okay, back. I'm probably going to have to turn it off pretty quick because it's not going to be able to home the Z. But it'll be able to home Y. I'll have to click the limit switch here for X because that's normally mounted to the X carriage and hits the side of here. So let's see what happens. Oh, conveniently I can home each axis. Okay, so let's home X. There we go. Let's home Y. Now Y should work because the limit switch is connected up at the back, so just let it go all the way to the back. Let's see. There we go. Yep. Now I'm not going to home Z because there's no Z switch plugged in. So I'm just going to, actually no I will, and then I'm going to power it off pretty quick. But it's probably going to be, well, might not be, but I expect it to be pretty noisy because of these very flat pitched Z screws, but let's see. I'll put it on, I'll just zoom out of it so we can see it, and then I'm going to probably have to turn the power off pretty fast because it's going to just go all the way up to the top. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to have to stop it because there's no Z stop. So turn all that off. Okay, tools, let's go on to preheat. Let's try heating up the bed. Let's see what's happening here. So extrusion 1. I guess that's the... I don't know what that is. What's that? Don't know. Well, That's the decrement number, I guess, in 1 degrees, 5 degrees or 10 degrees, so add. That's extrusion 1, can we change it to the bed? Ah, yeah we can, okay. Extrusion bed. Don't really want to close it, turn off. Let's just go to the bed. I'm just curious as how quickly the bed heats up. Let's put the bed. Degrees. Let's just see how quickly that heats up. I'm not actually sure that's actually on. Oh yeah. I'll time it and see how long it gets to 40 degrees. Well, from 20. Actually, reasonably it's going up pretty quick. Time it from, in fact, let's go up to 60. Time it from 30 to 60.